Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Conger Field at Purcell as we get ready to bring you high school football. Tonight, it's your Oklahoma Ford Dealers game of the week. Tonight, it's the Sulphur Bulldogs and the Purcell Dragons, and right away a miscue on the opening kick, and it looks as though the kicking team is going to come away with the football as they came up to make a fair catch, or try to, at least it looked like, Dylan, and it ended up hitting receiver in the foot and then bounced away, and it looks as though it's going to be Sulphur to get the ball to start.
Well, you didn't even get to finish all the introductions of the crew, and
no,
Dylan Rivera's here with us and all that. That was a quick start right there.
Bing, bang, boom.
The
Here
fastest
we go.
start we've had right there. But yeah, Purcell, I mean, it was quick for that kickoff to become a Sulphur ball there, and so man, that was interesting. I don't know what exactly happened. All I saw was kind of just the ball get tipped around, and the next thing I know, it's going the other way.
So it's Purcell with the football to start things off with. The first down carry was all alongside here tonight to bring you exciting Class 3A football. We'll set the stage further as we go along here. Here's a flag that comes out from the far side of the field, and we're going to have a false start called against the homestanding Purcell Dragons here this evening. Their quarterback is number 6 that you see there. That is Cody Croth. He's a 5'6", 145-pound junior quarterback. And from the scouting reports that we have, this may be a pretty quick game, as both teams like to keep it on the ground, run the football, and chew up some clock. We'll see how it all plays out. After the penalty, second down and 11. Dragons as Croth drops the throw over the middle. Pass is caught. That's complete inside the 30-yard line. The receiver there is number 7. That's Creed Smith. That should be enough for a first down as the Dragons are able to convert.
Yeah, Creed Smith's a big target out there, too. Stands at a pretty good, decent size out there. 6 foot tall. That's a fairly good size for a receiver, especially at 3A. So hitting him high is making it an easy target, if anything. Just put it somewhere where those smaller defensive backs can't get it, and that big completion gets them a first down.
And then the follow-up play is going to pick up not much, maybe 3 yards on the play. No huddle offense. Set off to the right is Addison Love. He gets the ball, number 28. He's their leading ball carrier. Weeks of this high school football season. 3rd and 3 for the Dragons. Love, handoff, Sulphur in the backfield. He maybe got back to the line of scrimmage, but nowhere close.
Bryce Dobby got in there on the hit, and he's a quick defensive end. Obviously only 3 guys with their hands in the dirt right there on the defensive line, but a lot of those linebackers come in and bring some more pressure, and it just causes havoc there for the offensive line.
Another quick pass is caught here on the near side of the field. That's Browning, and that should be enough for another first down. So the Dragons able to convert on 4th down. Now have it inside the Sulphur 20-yard line. They're going to spot it right about the 18. 1st and 10, Dragons, opening drive of our football game, still no score. Addison Love, number 28, in the backfield. Expect to call his name a lot. Another quick pass, caught at the 15-yard line. Receiver there is Creed Smith once again.
Yeah, you said Love's name's going to be called quite a bit tonight, and he's actually one of my players to watch, Addison Love, number 28. And the other one is already going to get into the game as well, number 6, Cody Croth, the quarterback. Those are my 2 guys to watch tonight. Obviously, those are some pretty obvious positions with the quarterback and the running back. But those 2 guys have such a big difference in between the way Purcell plays every night, whether it be a good game or a bad game. It depends a lot on those two guys in the backfield. So make sure to keep your eyes on them and lock into what they're doing tonight.
Another quick pass on target. Flag comes in late after the ball had been caught. Slowly getting to his feet is Mojo Browning. Croth looks over to the sideline and signals for some relief for Browning. Still waiting the call from the official. The pass was complete. A lot of quick, short passes here in the early going. That should be enough for another first down inside the 5. A hit to the head is the call against Sulphur. So the Dragons will tack that on to the end. It won't be much in the way of yardage as they're obviously at the 4-yard line. They'll take them down to the 2. First and goal for the Dragons. They kicked off. Sulphur could not handle the kickoff. The ball came loose. Looked as though somebody kicked it. Purcell came away with it, and they've had it the entire first quarter that we've played to this point. Croth to Love. Love's lunging for the end zone. Looked like he got in, and he did. Touchdown, Dragons. Addison Love from 2 yards out, and Purcell is the first team on the scoreboard tonight as they get the touchdown 6-0. Here's your replay.
Well, that right there is all toughness, all effort, and all hustle right there from Addison Love coming up into that gap, and he seems like he doesn't really have enough room to get through there, and you can tell by the fact that he's kind of brought down essentially at the 1-yard line, but he makes the play to stretch it out and get across that goal line. That's still going to end up being 6 points, even though it looked like he was about to fall short, and because of that, Purcell gets the early lead, and I got to tell you, Steve, coming into this game, I didn't think Purcell was going to be able to put up points very easily on this Sulphur defense, but man, they got him up quick.
They did, and they get the touchdown, and the extra point is good as well. So with 8 minutes and 15 seconds left to go here in this first quarter, it's Purcell on top of Sulphur. 7-0 our score on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
A big disgrace, waving your banner. We will.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back, everybody. 7-0. Dragons on top, breathing fire here in the early going. As they got the opening kickoff off a misplay by Sulphur, and were able to take it in and really did a very fine job of executing the offense to take the early 7-0 lead. Again, short, fielded there by Sulphur, number 28. That's Co Withrow. And Sulphur will have pretty good field position as they'll have it at about their own 44-yard line, 1st and 10.
Well, that kick went to about the same spot, but this time instead of catching it with their feet, they caught it with their hands.
So for Sulphur, we expect their quarterback to be Tavius McDonald, who ran for 828 yards last year. We'll set the stage for you as we go. As we say that, Reese Ratchford is the quarterback, and he hands off. McDonald was a running back on the team last year. Thought that he might see some action at quarterback, but Reese Ratchford has the opening call here for the Bulldogs.
Now, McDonald's such a utility player because he's not only gotten time at running back, but if you see him right now, he's up top of the screen, number 2 at wide receiver in the trips formation, so he could be used really in any way, and it's such an asset for this offense for the Sulphur Bulldogs.
Nice read there as the quarterback keeper executed well by Ratchford. He gets it across midfield and all the way down to the 36-yard line in Purcell territory, 1st and 10, as the Bulldogs enjoy their first possession of the night. It was a huge hole up the middle. Opened up for Ratchford. He's a sophomore, 5'11", 183.
That's what I was about to say. That's got to be exciting if you're a Sulphur Bulldogs fan, is that he's just a sophomore. So if he can develop, he can become a really dangerous player by the time he's a senior.
Handoff going to the right side. Lots of running room inside the 20-yard line. The handoff going to Logan Smith, the junior running back, 6'1", 190. And he'll have enough for a first down, move the chains. Line of scrimmage now at the 18-yard line.
Logan Smith carried for over 600 yards last year, so him and McDonald kind of combined to make two of my players to watch tonight for the Sulphur Bulldogs. The other one is really just the secondary on the defensive side of the ball, and we've seen them already out on the field. It didn't really come into play a whole lot. There was a lot of short passes, but the secondary on defense and then those two guys on offense are my players to watch for the Sulphur Bulldogs.
Ratchford over the middle, pass off the fingertips, just couldn't get in. Couldn't grab it and pull it in as it was intended there for Price Daubie. And just about as he was ready to pull that thing in, he took a pretty good shot from somebody in the secondary and was unable to hang on to the pass.
Yeah, kind of just holding it by his fingertips, and as he was trying to pull it in, like you said, right at the right time, the defense comes in and gets a good hit on him, makes him drop the pass. But that was looking to be a pretty good gain and get him right within that 5-yard line if he had pulled it in.
Second down and 10 from the 19-yard line. Good job by the Dragon defense. Nowhere to go offensively. Running back on the carry, Logan Smith, and he maybe got a yard in the play.
Yeah, plugging up the gap. Good job by the linebackers there. A couple of them got in there, 44 tackling low, and a couple of the other guys coming in from behind and grabbing him high. Just enough to stop his momentum in a short run, and now it's 3rd and 10 for the Sulphur Bulldogs.
So really their initial drive after they mishandled the opening kickoff and did not get to run a play from offense. Looks right, throws over the middle, pass deflected. Nice play in the secondary by the Dragons.
That's how you make a defensive play right there. How about that? The tip pass from number 42 comes from, well, I don't have a 42 on my roster, but a great defensive play coming across the middle and just getting high enough to get his hand up there. But one thing that I wanted to point out was that pass protection. The quarterback had plenty of time to sit back there and let that one fly. So the protection was nice, and then the defensive play just a little bit better.
So now a 4th down situation, and we've got a whistle and a penalty on the play, illegal start. False start called against the Bulldogs, so 4th and 10 now becomes a 4th and 15 situation. They've got Daubie, the big tight end, over the middle. They'll look his way a lot, 6'4", 222. That's a big tight end in any high school classification. They need to get to about the 9-yard line to get the first down. Quarterback is Reese Ratchford. Dropping the throw, looking over the middle, pass down the middle, and broken up from behind. Sulphur is wanting a flag thrown. Looked like one of the defenders may have been over the top a little bit, but the pass is incomplete, and Sulphur is going to turn it over on downs, and Purcell will take over.
Well, I think both of those passes, the last couple of plays, have just been a little bit too high for his targets. He's got to make sure to hit them right in the numbers, and those ones creating opportunities for the defense to get in there because he's hanging it up there real high and giving that defense time to get under it and get into the play. And that creates an issue for the offense, and you can look for a penalty all you want, but that looked clean to me.
Yep. 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line. Going out wide to the left for Purcell, number 24, and that is Nate Willis. The quarterback, again, is Cody Croth. Takes the snap, rolls right, throws near sideline, pass is caught. And he's been on target so far here early, and now a late flag comes out. You can see some of the Purcell coaching staff. That's apparently going to go against Sulphur. Couldn't really see what was going on just right there at the bottom of our screen. But apparently a complete pass and then maybe some yardage tacked on at the end. Here's the call. Personal foul against the Bulldogs. Well, as we mentioned, Sulphur came into the game 4-0, ranked 4th, 49-21, their win over Medill to open things. Then blasted Davis 50-14, knocked off Cache 14-3 before beating Bethel 63-13. Purcell won their opener. They beat rival Lindsay 42-14, but then lost their next 3 to Washington 38-8, to Lexington 27-12 in the battle for the bridge, and then Plainview 56-0. Right now, Dragons with a 1st and 10 from their own 46-yard line. Everybody checks their wristband. Sulphur showing blitz. Rolling to his right again, a quick pass. And this one appears as though it's going to be incomplete. Or no, they're going to say that he did catch it. And that's going to be inside Sulphur territory at their 44-yard line.
Mojo Browning with the reception there, and it seems like you said, he's been pretty on target tonight, Croth, finding those receivers, and it seems like going to those sidelines, he's going to be able to stretch out the defense a little bit more, so maybe they can make runs right up the middle right there from Addison Love.
Love gets it inside the 40-yard line, or right at the 40-yard line is where they're going to spot it. And the Dragons, who got shut out last week against a very good Plainview team. Plainview comes into the contest. They're ranked number 3, right ahead of Sulphur. They got beat by Plainview 56-0. And right now, they have dominated play here in just the first 7 or 8 minutes of our football game, leading 7-0 and on the march once again. Croth, pass complete. First down yardage inside the 30 to the 29-yard line in Sulphur territory.
Well, the thing that I like is none of these passes are really taking any dangerous shots for this Purcell Dragons offense. It's very quick, short passes, whether it be out routes, slants, or in routes, anything like that. And then those handoffs, Addison Love is a powerful runner. And that should be a false start there. Looked like the entire offense kind of moved. But Addison Love, a strong runner. You can hand him the ball and count on probably picking up a good at least 4 or 5 yards almost every time out.
So this one's going to go against Purcell. And that will give them now a first down and 15. They're at the Sulphur 34-yard line. Croth has been on target with all of his passes so far tonight, and when they've needed to run the football, Love has been able to provide that for the Dragons as well. Croth this time wants to go up top, go deep, far side, incomplete, nearly had it. Trying to come down with the football, but unable to was Mojo Browning, the 6-foot, 165-pound junior. Pass is incomplete, and that'll bring up a 2nd and 15.
Well, and that would have been a really impressive catch, trying to get over Kyle Stevenson and leaning back off balance. That's a tough catch to make in coverage, and a really pretty well-placed ball again from Croth, and we've seem to be pretty impressed by the way he's throwing the ball tonight, and he's playing well. That one just falls incomplete, unfortunately. I mean, he got 2 hands on it, just couldn't quite reel it in. And it sets him up for a 2nd and 15 after that false start penalty a couple of plays ago.
See what they call here now is Croth looking left side all the time, kind of the back shoulder pass. And that one's going to be incomplete, out of bounds.
Well, I said just moments ago, it seems like this offense has been pretty just quick passing. Seems like it's been a lot of just slants and outs and ins and all that kind of jazz, just keeping it about 5-10 yards out, and now kind of trying to stretch the field a little bit. I wonder if it's because of that big 15 number next to the down marker, and maybe they're trying to make it all up in one play, and that's something that they didn't need to do. You can make those short passes and then maybe hand off to Addison Love and get to that first down marker more methodically, as it was only first down whenever they had the 15 yardage to go.
Oh, little hook and lateral action here. That's going to be going for a big gain. The ball is loose. It came out. Did he catch it inbounds? It's going to still be Purcell football. The little hook and lateral there, as they were able to team up on this right side. The receiver caught the pass, had the running back, I believe it was Love, running behind him. He got the pitch and then takes it all the way down to about the 15-yard line.
Well, it was, and it was just almost like a touch pass in basketball. He just had it for a split second and then knocked it back to Love. Love able to be aware enough is something that's really tough to do, is be aware enough to know that that's coming to you, and I wonder if that was designed. It kind of looks like it is. And then the fumble here, I don't know if that ball went out of bounds. I'm assuming that's the call that he's making there, but if not, that should have been Sulphur ball because they were the first ones at it. But nonetheless, it will be Purcell Dragons offense still out on the field, and Addison Love jogging off to the sidelines, and we'll see a different running back in there now.
Checking in is number 35. That is Sam Wofford. Croth going to roll it to the right side, gets good protection, throws the pass, and a nice, able to keep the foot in bounds catch there by Mojo Browning inside the 5 down to the 4-yard line.
And if I told you that this offense averaged 15.5 points per game through 4 games, you wouldn't believe me. There's no way anybody would believe that. This offense has moved down the field so methodically, and it seems like they have the answers for everything that they're seeing on the defensive side of the ball. And right here, again, just 5 yards out from the end zone.
Snap goes over Croth's head, loose football. That's going to go all the way back to about the 23-yard line. That's a huge loss on the play, as Love is the young man that comes up with the football. in all of this, Dylan, and we look and was reading the Purcell newspaper today, 4 games into the season, they're playing without several players. Coach Tracy Scott said he's never seen anything like it before. We're down to 6 linemen on the roster that are not freshmen. None of the 6 were starters at the beginning of the season.
Again, wouldn't believe it if you were told
No.
that. Like, watching this game, you wouldn't know any of that, and you would probably think this is the regular starting offensive line. Like you said, a lot of injuries. I know 6+ injuries on the team. A couple of them some big names. You think of wide receiver Brendan Ferris, the defensive back, and it looks like an interception here. I was looking down to read my notes, and next thing I know, I see Sulphur with the football.
Yep, ill-advised pass as he was running the opposite way, then tried to throw back. Receiver did not catch it. As you take a look at our replay once again, something we've added and gotten better over the last 2 years is getting that replay, and there's a look. Nobody really even in the vicinity.
Yeah, a bad decision there from the quarterback, and that's the first real mistake we've seen him make so far tonight, rolling out, and he's under pressure, and he sees a guy in the back of the end zone and maybe thinks, I can get it back there, but just a little bit too much air under the pass, and the defensive backs were able to get under it. The interception ends up turning it over to Sulphur, and now at the 15-yard line, Sulphur's got okay field position, and really, they went down the field pretty well last possession, just ended up falling short of getting into the end zone.
Here's a running play to the far right side, and that's got big yardage all over it. That's Logan Smith with the carry. And he's going to get at least 20 yards on the play. Looks like they're going to spot him out of bounds at about the 32-yard line.
Well, Sulphur Bulldogs have had 3 runs of probably about 15 or more already in this game, so that defense is going to have to shore up the rushing defense as these Bulldog runners are having an easy time torching them.
Ratchford goes forward on the first down carry. He picks up 7. As he hands off there to number 5, Smith again. Smith going to go to the sidelines. They're going to give him 7 on the carry. And a 2nd down and 3 situation coming up for the Bulldogs. Running play. Up the middle, first down yardage across midfield. There is a pink flag on the field. I don't know where that comes from as they fire that to the sidelines. I've seen that on, whenever they have those special events for breast cancer awareness or something like that. I've seen games that have used pink flags instead of the yellow ones.
Well, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I know that a lot of the players will start decking it out in pink.
Pass there goes incomplete. Looked like he had receiver down the middle, but decided to go to the right side. Open over there was number 84, the big guy for Sulphur, Brandon Lloyd.
Yeah, another one of those big targets we're talking about. One of them on the Purcell side being 6 foot in Creed Smith, but how about 6'2" for Brandon Lloyd? And he kind of, you could say he's a wide receiver. He's got good hands, but I would put him more as a tight end, as he kind of is a bigger wide receiver if you're going to play him there.
Running play to the right side. That's going to get line of scrimmage and really not even that much. Good surge by that Purcell Dragon defensive front. As they push him back, it's actually going to be a loss of a yard, and they're going to spot it just inside midfield in Purcell territory, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 11.
And I would imagine that this, as surprising as it may sound, for a 3rd and 11, it may be smarter to just run the ball. They've been very successful running the ball against this defense, and it may be the smartest decision just to put a lot of blockers and some lead blockers up there and run it up the gut. Right there, it kind of was a full house formation in that pistol, and they tried that out, but it didn't seem to work, and we'll see what happens here with another blocker coming in the game.
3rd and 11, fakes the short pass, now wants to go deeper down the sideline. Pass there is intercepted apparently, or knocked down. They're going to call it incomplete. No, they're going to say he did get it. It is an interception. So Purcell comes away with the fine defensive play, stops the Sulphur drive, and that will be nearly the final play. We'll still have one more play remaining here in this first quarter, with Purcell right now leading Sulphur by a score of 7-0 and now getting the ball back.
Well, and I wouldn't have expected Purcell to play this well again in the first quarter. I know I've said it a couple times, but really I'm not going to say that I expected Purcell to be blown out or anything, but I didn't expect a really good performance out of them. And so far in this first quarter, they outplayed Sulphur by quite a bit, and another interception on the day, one for both sides now, and it's only the first quarter, so the action's only going to heat up from here.
Clock winding down the final seconds of this first quarter of play, and that's going to do it. So after one quarter, the Dragons on top of the Bulldogs. Purcell leading Sulphur here on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week. We'll take a timeout and be right back.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back to your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week, along with Dylan Rivera. I'm Steve Marshall, happy to be bringing you Week 5 action here as we are reaching the midway point of the season. Of course, we've got all the non-district games out of the way for the most part, and in all these games now, the rest of the way, they count towards you making the playoffs, where you're seated in the playoffs, or not making the playoffs at all. So every game now important.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was how Sulphur's 4-0 and where they're ranked in the district and all of that. And next week they play Lone Grove, who right now sits at 4-0. So next week should be a really big matchup for the Bulldogs. Another 4-0 team coming up against them, and we'll see if they can hold on to their undefeated record here tonight against the Dragons. But that'll be an interesting matchup next Friday.
All right, so second down for Purcell. Here comes the blitz. Here comes the pass over the middle, nearly intercepted. Pass intended out there for number 42 for the Dragons, trying to hook up. And that's the same one that you mentioned a little earlier. Don't have a 42 in our roster.
That one just seemed like it was a little bit too far outside of his hands. It was a good idea. I'll put it that way. It was not exactly the best placed ball. It was maybe just, like I said, a step out in front. But he had the right target in mind, I think, and maybe bring that down and just back a hair, and that's a completed pass. And we're talking about a 15, 20-yard gain.
So now third down and 7 for the Bulldogs. And snap is errant, throwing off of his back foot, lobbing it towards the sideline. Nobody there, really just throwing the football away. So 3rd and 7, we do have a flag on the field. Will now come up as 4th and 7. That flag's way down the field, thrown by the back judge. You can see some of the new facilities here at Purcell as they have remodeled the old Conger Field. The old football stadium built into the side of a hill. Mark Jeffries and I had a chance to call a couple games there several years ago. One of those I remember, Mark, was in the locker room because of the inclement weather that was forecasted. On the roof. Absolutely. So a penalty to further the problem for Sulphur. Intentional grounding because there was no receiver in the area. So that'll bring the ball all the way back to the 3-yard line. Loss of down on the play.
I guess it depends on your definition of in the area, because there was a wide receiver maybe about 5 to 10 yards out.
That's usually enough. And we're going to get a timeout on the field taken by Sulphur, as they do not seem like a team that's ranked number 4 and 4-0 on the season, at least not yet. We'll take a timeout and we'll come back with more for you. Stay with us, everybody.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is dumb.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $2,000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Dumb.
Welcome back here Week 5 of the high school football season. The first couple of weeks, Dylan, about this time of the game, it was still 90-some-odd degrees. A little more pleasant as fall has definitely taken hold here, and that's what makes fall so great in the state of Oklahoma. One, you have one of the best collegiate football teams in the entire state. And then, of course, high school football on Friday nights. There's some other collegiate teams in the state that are also playing and doing quite well, both at the D1 level and otherwise. Punting situation from deep in his own end zone. Sulphur kicker going to take this one all the way back to about the 37-yard line. Purcell, nice move. Nice little dance move. Spinning, twisting, still on his feet. All the way down inside the 10-yard line, down to the 8. What a return for the Dragons. Looking and don't see any flags on the field. And what a nice run. That's going to be one for the replay files.
Man, Tavius McDonald, so you think he can dance? How about that one? A good run back, and like you said, a couple of spin cycles right there. Next thing you know, he's within that 10-yard line, and a great run back from one of my players to watch tonight. I told you he was going to have an impact on this game, and there you see it on the punt return. And now great field position for the Bulldogs, and this may be their opportunity to finally get on the scoreboard.
Here's a running play up the middle, and just as Dylan predicted, into the end zone for the touchdown. And I believe that was number 5, Cale Walker, that found pay dirt. I'm sorry.
Wrong roster. Yeah, yep. Logan Smith. Yeah,
Logan Smith, who we've called a couple times already tonight.
Yeah, again, this rush game has had a great amount of success against the Purcell defense, and so a good play call, just give it up the middle, let Logan Smith plow forward and get those yards, and not a single guy even touched him on that run. It was clear as day into that end zone. He probably could have walked. I mean, it was that easy. All the defense was just out of the way. Great blocking on that play, and ends up 6 points, and that makes it 7, and we have a tie ball game, Steve.
Jeremy Cudd with a nice block on that. We'll probably see that replay when we come back. All tied up here on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week, just underway. Second quarter. We'll be right back.
Saturday night and I just got paid. My heart said go, go. Have time for Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it out. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
Drive the new Ford Ranger today with 0% financing for 60 months plus $2,500 total savings. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back, everybody. Watching the game tonight on YurView. We are in Purcell, the home of the Dragons. They started off quickly, took the opening kickoff, recovered the fumble on the kickoff, and then drove in and scored, led 7-0. Looked like they were going to go up even further than that, but Sulphur made a defensive stand, and then they took it in themselves, and we are all tied up with just over 1 quarter and about 30 seconds having been played here in this first half.
Yeah, so the only real, I guess you could say, bad possession we've seen from Purcell is that last one where they ended up punting it away. The special teams let a long return from McDonald get him down to the 10-yard line, and that's what gave up the touchdown there. The defense couldn't quite stop Logan Smith from running in, but at the same time, this Purcell offense has been very successful tonight. We've seen them go down the field on the Sulphur defense. This Sulphur defense who's only allowed 12.75 points per game right now. So a team that came in low scoring and playing a team that only allows low amount of points, you'd think to yourself, on paper, this looks like Purcell's not going to put up a lot of points, but really this offense has been very successful, and we'll see if they can continue that trend here on this possession.
All right, so the kickoff there is taken back to about the 22-yard line. Make it the 21 is where they're actually going to spot it. 1st and 10 for the Dragons. They came out early, mixed in a couple of runs along with some short passes, and really executed them quite well to move down the field on that first drive, and even on their second drive, were still able to gain some yards before they turned it over on the interception. Here's the jet sweep coming to the near side of the field. Going to get about 5-6 yards perhaps on the carry. With the football there for Purcell is number 20. That is Nicholas Albright. Nice play there defensively. Number 74, that's Andy Carter coming up and making the play. Senior defensive lineman, 6 foot 215.
Well, one thing that I like that we've seen so far is something that sometimes we don't even see in like 5A football is there's so many different players getting involved on both sides of the ball. Both Sulphur and Purcell, we've seen so many different players getting touches and making plays, whereas sometimes we see just kind of those big-name guys for the team kind of just lead their roster into a good game. But today we've seen so many guys getting into it and getting big plays and getting their numbers out there.
Addison Love with a nice carry, but it's coming back due to a holding call against the Dragons. So that negates the nice run. And we'll make it a 2nd and long type situation for Purcell.
And again, you can't say too much about the Purcell offensive line. As you mentioned, very depleted due to injury. So this is probably not the ideal unit to have out there. But even so, they've had a pretty good night so far through one quarter. So one mistake there doesn't negate the fact that they've played well so far, especially for kind of a second unit.
So they move it back to the 23-yard line as Croth looks to throw. That's a little high, but still caught. Getting downfield and picking up some first down yardage and then some on the reception. Nicholas Albright for the Dragons. Looked like the defenders were there. Just a good job by Albright to come away with the football.
Well, here's my question. Was that too high for Creed Smith and just ended up going to Albright?
Yep.
Or was that on target for Albright? You know,
That's a good
it could have been
question.
one or the other. We'll see. Maybe after the game, maybe it was one of them will say, well, I was actually looking here or something. But that was a pretty good throw. It was right on target to Albright for sure. So if that was his intended target, that was a great throw. Ends up getting a big gain past the 50-yard line now, and so they're in Sulphur territory, and we'll see if they can make any more out of this drive.
Trips to the right side, spinning forward, picking up a couple of yards on the first down carry. That is Addison Love once again. He's been busy. 5'11", 200-pounder. He's a senior. See how many yards they end up giving him on that carry. Call it 2nd down and short. About 6 or 7 perhaps. Croth, the quarterback. Quick drop throw over the middle. Quick slant was there. Receiver was open. Led him a little bit too much, and it goes incomplete.
And it looked like it was a little bit of a pick route. Those two guys kind of crossing right over there on that right sideline. It makes for a wide open slant coming across the middle, and that should have been a pass play for a big gain, but just overthrew him, led him too far out there. Looking for number 1, Mojo Browning, who's been a target of more than a couple of his passes tonight for Croth. We talk about, that one on the sideline down near in the red zone, and a couple of other sideline targets, and that one coming across the middle just a little bit too far out in front.
Croth dropping the throw. Blitz is on. They dump it off to Love. Love out of the backfield. He's got first down yardage inside the 35-yard line. And he got just enough to extend this drive and give him a new set of downs.
Well, and if your eyes were just on the ball, you missed a big play in the blocking game. And number 42, again, we don't have a roster number for, made a huge play. I mean, the block, he stood over his guy after he blocked him. That's how mean the block was. It just creates enough room for the running back, Love, to run across the first down marker, and that picks up the 1st and 10. But that block was crucial to that play. And you may not have even seen it. That's what's the best part about seeing blocks like that is sometimes you don't even see it in the first play.
Handoff here goes up the middle. That's Sam Wofford, who's been used primarily as a blocking back here early. Number 35 right there in the middle of your screen.
Well, we've talked a lot about the numbers coming into this game and what it looks like on paper from that point of view, but at the same time last year, Sulphur came in and beat them 55-14, beat the Purcell Dragons. So on paper, it looks like Sulphur was the favorite, and then going over to last year's matchup, it looked like Sulphur makes out for the favorite in this game. But right now, 7-7, about halfway through the second quarter, and it looks like we're going to have a pretty good ball game on our hands if Purcell continues to play this way.
Shoestring tackle made there by number 71 for Sulphur, Sage Borders. Otherwise, that gets more yardage, probably at least first down yardage, if not more. And now the Dragons looking at a 3rd and 4 situation. Inside the Sulphur 39, here comes the blitz, in trouble, spins out. Croth then throws downfield, has a receiver there, it's underthrown, and is incomplete, trying to hook up there with Creed Smith, and the pass is incomplete.
Even though that didn't end up being a completed pass, I really liked the way he was able to evade the pressure and still have enough time to set his feet and throw the football. And it wasn't really that far off target. It was just a little low. But really a great job of keeping his eyes downfield even when he's getting pressure, even when he's got a defensive lineman right in his face. He's able to turn, look down the field, and see his receiver that was along the sideline there, Creed Smith, still open enough that he could probably fit the ball into that window. And he did so, just a little bit too low.
Your choices here, go for it on 4th and 4 or kick a 46-yard field goal. They're going to go for it. 4th and 4 is Croth. Rolls to his left, stops, plants, throws, pass incomplete. Don't see any flags on the play. And that'll turn it over to Sulphur with still about 7.5 minutes left to go here in this first half of a tie football game.
Another pass just a little bit too low from Croth. We've seen him be really on target, and now we've seen him be really off target. So those two plays kind of dispel that constant that we had from him of how we were talking about how on target his passes were. And then a couple of them he's also led his receivers a little bit too far. But nonetheless, he's had a pretty good game so far, and he's kept Purcell in the game for sure. And Sulphur now takes over on offense, and we'll see if they have an answer for this defense. We've seen them be pretty successful on the ground game.
Bulldogs from their own 29-yard line. Handoff up the middle. Fighting forward, getting out across the 32 to about the 33-yard line. Logan Smith on the carry. Again, I'm going back over these scores, and to refine it a little bit, last week Purcell lost by 56. Sulphur won by 50. And we got ourselves a knockdown drag-out tie football game here at 7-7. Running play up the middle. And another couple of yards. That'll give them the opportunity on 3rd and about 1. Call it a short 2.
No, and you could be looking at this and hearing us talking about how this is a good game so far, and you could be saying, well, it's just the second quarter. Yeah, we've only seen the kernels of it, but, you know, as the game moves on and it heats up, we're going to end up seeing some popcorn, I think, because it's going to end up being a pretty good game here. We got a pretty good matchup, and really, I mean, Purcell up to this point has played up to their level of competition on the other sideline.
Somebody jumped across the line for Purcell, and that's going to give Sulphur an automatic first down. And now the ball spotted at the Bulldogs' 43-yard line. And there you get a look at number 9, who we talked about as one of the players to watch, Price Daubie, imposing 6'4", 222-pound senior tight end. Running play up the middle, looking for some running room, breaks the ankle tackle, and then is brought down. Not much of a gain on the play by Tavius McDonald.
Yeah, Sam Wofford, the guy who usually comes in as the blocking running back or sometimes that kind of second runner on the offensive side of the ball, makes the tackle there on the defensive side of the ball.
There's a look at Conger Field. And right behind that, if you're not familiar, it's kind of a big hill that they built the press box in that area into. And then down at the, I guess it would be the east end zone, they have a brand new facility that I'm sure is what they're using for their locker room right now. Here's a pass that's complete, and that's going to be good enough for a first down all the way down to the Purcell 40-yard line. And they are into Dragon territory. Sulphur has not led in this game, all tied up at 7 apiece.
Yeah, this field is looking real sharp, like you mentioned. It's new facilities and everything. And right there, like I was going to say, once we get down to the red zone, you can usually see the facility that you're talking about. It looks great, and you got to imagine that it's going to excite the players.
Yeah.
It gets them motivated. I've seen some pictures of the locker room kind of on social media, Facebook and Twitter and stuff. That locker room looks sweet as well. So all of that just makes you more excited to get out there and do some work as a player.
Sure.
So we'll see if Purcell can live up to the expectations of their stadium tonight.
Purcell right down Highway 35, Sulphur down that same way, a little further south. Got some good football teams out that way. Washington's playing very well this year. Class 2A powerhouse. Here's a run to the right side. Offensive line just blowing people off the football. Still on his feet, Logan Smith racing for the end zone, and he will get there. Touchdown, Logan Smith for the Sulphur Bulldogs. Checking for flags, don't see any. And that's a nice long run. Really watch the way that offensive line they were just a bulldozer effect.
My goodness, you can't talk about the offensive line enough after this play. You've got to see the push that they get. Look at these guys just shoving them off the ball, like you said, and then right there able to evade a tackler. That tackler's too high. He's standing straight up, and so Logan Smith just puts the pads into him and says, well, I'll go around you instead. So puts those pads into him, pushes him back, gets enough room to take off to that sideline, and then a long run. And again, I've said Sulphur's been successful on the ground game, and until Purcell finds an answer, they're going to be torn up that way.
Extra point is good, so the Bulldogs now have wrested control away from the Dragons. They lead it 14-7 on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week. We'll take a timeout, come right back with the kickoff. Stay with us.
The Ford Game of the Week is the best in Oklahoma, and it's live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. East meets West Thursday night when the Broken Arrow Tigers head to Morris School Stadium to take on the Westmore Jaguars. Quarterback Dayton Wolf has led the Jags to a strong 2019 start. OU commit Andrew Rame anchors the Broken Arrow offensive line. See if Westmore can stir things up in this very tough district. It's Broken Arrow and Westmore Thursday night at 7 live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. Thursday night is football night with the Ford Game of the Week. Ford is the best in Oklahoma.
Welcome back, everybody. Bulldogs and the Dragons doing battle here tonight. I wonder what Mike Leach would say about the battle of the mascots in this case.
Oh, man. Classic quote, wasn't it? Man, that's funny.
I think with Leach's, talking about if the dragon was truly a fire-breathing dragon, then he might have a chance against the Bulldog. That was some classic Leach stuff there a couple weeks ago when he was talking about all the different mascots and who would win in a battle of mascots in the they call it the Pac-12 or the Pac-10.
Man, there are not going to be many guys that compete with Mike Leach in the quote game. There's a lot of guys out there who can talk. A lot of guys who get credit for being short. You think of Bill Belichick,
right.
Nick Sabans, and stuff like that. But man, when it comes to those funny quotes, there's not many guys who can compete with Leach.
Stanford, I don't know a tree. I don't know how much of a battle they can put up. That was funny. I could watch that over and over again.
Well, I think of one that was this week, actually. It wasn't Leach. It was actually Mike Gundy talking about Donkey Kong when he was comparing his players to how they were playing or something like that. And he was talking about the levels of Donkey Kong and stuff like that. And I was like, man, what are you going on about? Then he goes on. He really went on for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes explaining how his players were like Donkey Kong.
That's funny.
And I was like, man, if I'm sitting in the press room for that, I'm going to be like, what did you just say?
That's before your time even.
Yeah, it really is.
Here we go, the kickoff after the touchdown for the Bulldogs, now leading at 14-7. Dragons field it on the far side, and that is Mojo Browning, who we've called a couple times tonight. He's going to get it out to about the 23-yard line, and that's where the Dragons will put it in play. They still have about 4 minutes and 45 seconds to try and drive down the field. They got out to the early 7-0 lead, but Sulphur has scored the last 14 points in succession to take that 14-7 lead. Of course, coming up at halftime, we'll be looking at the replays, recapping this first half, and also taking a look at the scoreboard. A lot of big games going on tonight across the state, not only in Class 4A, where we are here tonight, but of course 6A and 5A. There's a loose football fumble. Don't know that anybody got control of it. If anybody did, it would have been Purcell, I believe, getting on the football. That's going to be a loss. Line of scrimmage was the 23 all the way back to the 18-yard line, a loss of 5 on the play. Boy, that would have been critical.
Yeah, now if I'm the wide receiver there, Mojo Browning, I might have actually just basically booted that one out of bounds. Because if you do that or you knock it out of bounds with your hands, whatever it may be, it's going to still be your football wherever it goes out of bounds. That may have been the strategy I would have gone for rather than try to jump on it just in case. Make the safety net and just knock it out.
Sulphur showing blitz, and they're coming off the edge. Here's the pass, and had it and lost it. Unable to hang on to the football was Titus Mason.
Yeah, we've seen Croth make some off-target passes, but that one should have been caught. That one was on target, on the money. Maybe a half a step behind him, but even that's a catchable ball. You can't blame the quarterback on that one. The receiver's got to pull that one in, and he's got time and space. It's not like there was a defender right in his immediate area. He could have pulled that one in and even turned into a runner before the next guy would have got to him. So plenty of time, plenty of space to bring that one in, and it's on target. Only can blame the receiver for that drop.
So now 3rd and 15 as Croth drops to throw. In trouble, jump pass, tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it falls incomplete. And that'll bring up 4th down and a punting situation. And the Purcell offense has all of a sudden been stymied. You have to credit a lot of that, of course, making the adjustments on the Sulphur side of the football.
And it seemed like he maybe thought there was a little bit more pressure than there really was. It seemed like he was thinking that his backside, he had a defensive lineman coming right up behind him, but he really didn't. He had a little bit more time. He probably could have hung out in the pocket and stepped up and made a good throw. But instead, he tried to scramble out to that right side, and that edge blocker wasn't quite holding his guy well enough, and so getting outside, it ended up being more pressure out there than there was in the pocket. So he's forced to make a rushed throw and a rushed decision. The pass ends up getting tipped, and now we're talking about a punting situation.
Deep in his own territory, Dragons get the roll. It goes out across midfield, and Sulphur will set it up 1st and 10. Well, they're going to mark it right at midfield. And now, if you're a Dragon fan watching tonight, you want to make sure that your Dragons can keep them out of the end zone from extending this lead after Purcell led for a good bit of the contest early when they were up 7-0. Sulphur has scored the last 2 times they've had the football. They'd like to make it 3 in a row, and still over 3.5 minutes left to go before halftime.
Well, and it feels like Purcell kind of lost its luster that it had in those first few drives. The first quarter, it seemed like they came out, they were fired up, they were sparked, and they went down the field that first drive, like we mentioned, and just scored. And then the next couple of times, it seemed like they had a couple of good drives and a couple of successful runs out there. But this time out, it seems like, or at least now, it seems like the Purcell offense has kind of sputtered out, and it seems like they've lost their edge.
Running play right side, tripped up, nice tackle coming up from the secondary. Making the play there is number 85 for Purcell, and that is Ruben Leverage. There is a flag on the play.
I have a good feeling this could be a hold on number 28.
It is a hold, and I'm sure you were right on top of it. But the one thing I've really noticed, aside from that touchdown play, is all of a sudden it seems like Sulphur's really getting a great surge on that offensive line, and Purcell could be in trouble trying to stop that run the rest of the game.
Well, and I was going to mention it earlier. I think that's why Sulphur's been so successful on the ground. I mean, we always talk about the size of the O-linemen, and we always try to shout them out because a lot of times those hogs up front don't get the credit they should be given. And these guys up front are big, especially for 3A. And they are going to create a lot of big holes for Logan Smith, and not only that, but a lot of good time to throw in the backfield for number 8 in the backfield, Reese Ratchford.
Ratchford takes the snap. That's a backward pass cut on the far side there by Tavius McDonald, and a flag is out.
Should be another hold right there on number 12. I would imagine that wide receiver out there is Kyle Stevenson, and this will probably back up again.
So they'll back him up. I'm looking right now at the size differential on that line, and I didn't notice it earlier, perhaps because Purcell was playing so well defensively. But you've got number 61, Gage Askew, who was banged up and was injured. He's only 175 on that defensive front. You've got Brendan Bacon, number 68, at 180 pounds. And then you've got big number 72 there in the middle. That's Jason Shea, who they listed 270 pounds.
And I believe he had an older brother that graduated last year that was an all-state O-lineman for Purcell. There may be no relation, but he had the same last name, so I'm assuming it's a brotherly relationship, and he was on the same football team. But he graduated out, and so that's going to create a hole on the Purcell offensive line. And we've talked about how their injuries have kind of played into that offensive side of the ball for the Dragons. So a loss of a couple of big-name players and a loss of players due to injury creates a problem on the offensive side of the ball for Purcell.
They faked the jet sweep to the near side. Then the quarterback, Ratchford, kept it running to the left. Was able to pick up a couple of yards on the play. About 3rd and 6 now upcoming for the Bulldogs as we're under 2 minutes to play in this first half. Quick pass, little slant, a little bit behind the intended receiver there, trying to hook up with Tavius McDonald. Stops the clock with 1:34, and that'll bring up a 4th down and 7 situation for the Bulldogs.
And that was about a yard or two from being a backwards pass and ended up being a fumble, and then that could have been a run back for Purcell. So a good job by the designer of that play, I guess you should say, the offensive coordinator, by making sure that that wide receiver wasn't coming too deep on his route there, because just a step or two more, and that would have been technically a fumble.
So the Bulldogs ready to kick it away with just over a minute and a half left to go in the first half. Line of scrimmage at the Purcell 47-yard line. A high kick. Bounces at the 30 and goes right down the 30-yard line and out of bounds. So not a very far kick. About 14 yards or thereabouts. And Purcell will get it back. Still time to do something. They're going to need a couple big plays in there. But they've shown that big play capability on a couple of occasions already tonight.
One of the scores we need to make sure we check at halftime is the Seminole score. Mike Snyder's going for the record tonight. We broadcasted their game earlier in the season. We were talking about how close they were, and Mike Snyder's going for win number 364 tonight against Lincoln Christian, as he's tied for first place in Oklahoma State history right now. So we'll have to see what that is at half and see if he's on his way to breaking the record.
Running play there, Addison Love picks up about 2 yards on the carry. Doesn't seem like Purcell's in a big hurry to get the next play off. Croth looks at the wristband. We get down to a minute. Sulphur showing blitz. Croth wants the receiver in action. Here comes the little jet sweep around the edge. It's going to pick up some nice yardage on the play as they got the ball there to Titus Mason. Clock will continue to run. They're going to spot it right at the 40-yard line. Needs a yard for the first down to keep the drive alive.
Well, and again, you said this offense doesn't seem like it's in any rush to get down the field, so maybe just going to let this one go into the locker room and let the clock ride out. But after a successful play like that, you wonder if maybe they'll try to get something big here, and it looks like they might.
Big hole left side, big collision right at midfield as Addison Love gets the first down, and he took that would-be tackler, took him head on, big collision, and he was able to lean forward, get enough yardage for the first down. It looks like they're going to call a timeout. See if they can't set up something fancy here for final play, perhaps 2. Trailing by 7. They'll have the ball 1st and 10 at the Sulphur 45-yard line.
I like that you said head on that collision there. That was 2 big forces coming at each other, and like you said, big collision. It was just I'm sure if you were at the stadium, it was one of those where you hear that big pop even all the way up on the top row. That one's a loud one right there, and a great job lowering the shoulder. That's what they tell you to do as a runner, but nowadays they talk about, whether it's safe to put your head down. And that's one of those things that really as a runner you're taught. When you put your shoulders down, and your head's going to drop with it. There's no way you can drop your shoulders and not drop your head. So it kind of creates an awkward position, but right there, able to use that pad, and that's textbook. That's what you're told to do, is put those pads into him. And when he does, he picks up what may have been another 4 or 5 yards just because he came in with enough force and used that truck stick and gets a couple more yards out of it.
All right, so both teams went to the sidelines. They have further instruction from their coaching staff with a 1st down and 10 from the Sulphur 45-yard line. Quarterback Croth for the Dragons takes the snap. They have the jet sweep pitch and then throw the football downfield, and it's intercepted. Intercepted there by Sulphur on the return. Number 12 goes flying through the air. That's Kyle Stevenson. And still 6 seconds left, so they probably have time for one more play.
Well, it's another interception for the Bulldogs defense, but to be fair, that one is just a late end of the first half shot. You want to take those shots down the field, especially with how much success you had on the offensive side of the ball in this drive. Maybe they were coming in just kind of cautious, and we'll see what happens, and then had a couple of successful plays, and they say, okay, well, let's go ahead and give it a shot. We've got a little bit more time. We're probably about the 45-yard line. Maybe we can get some points out of this. So they take a shot down the field, and you can't blame them for it. But the wide receiver's pass, number 1, Mojo Browning, was just a little bit short, and that ends up getting intercepted by number 12 in the secondary, Kyle Stevenson.
So they'll have the ball at the Purcell 48-yard line. 1st and 10, clock showing just about 7 seconds left to go. And that's not really time for anything more than just one play.
And if you got one of those baseball players on your team with a big arm, maybe you take a Hail Mary, but it looks like they're probably going to just maybe take a run up the middle or something like that and let this clock ride out.
Handoff, right side. Again, a huge hole. And he does get out of bounds. Stops the clock. That's Logan Smith again. He picked up some big yardage all the way down to the 31-yard line. And that will leave them, it looks like, just enough time for one final shot at the end zone.
And if you're on defense, that's exactly what you couldn't have happen, is a big gain on the ground. If you had kept him to maybe 3-4 yards, you're talking about the end of the first half. You can go to the locker room and recuperate and get ready for the second half of football. But right there, letting that big run happen means that we're talking about maybe a really long field goal if you got a good kicker, or a shot at the end zone, which is probably more likely. Maybe take a throw down there and see if you can find one of those big targets we've talked a lot about. Bryce Dobby tonight. We'll see if maybe they throw it at him as he stands at 6'4", 222.
So, line of scrimmage is going to be the 31-yard line in Purcell territory. If you're just joining us, the Dragons jumped on the scoreboard first as they kicked off to start the game. Sulphur mishandled the opening kick. It was recovered by Purcell. The Dragons took it down the field. They got the 2-yard run from Addison Love, and they went on top 7-0 at the 8:15 mark of that first quarter of play. And then the very first play from scrimmage for Sulphur in the second quarter, Logan Smith on a 2-yard run, tied it up at 7 apiece. And then with about 4:52 left to go before halftime, Smith with a long touchdown run down the right sideline. And that puts us where we are right now, 14-7, Sulphur on top in what should be the final play of this first half. The quarterback again is Reese Ratchford. Quick pass to the outside to Tavius McDonald, and he's going to get pretty close to the end zone, but is going to run out of time. They spot him out at about the 7-yard line, and that's going to do it as both teams begin their retreat to the locker room. 14-7, Sulphur on top. They lead it at the halftime here in Purcell. We'll come back. We'll take a look at the first half highlights, break down that first half of play for you, and also check the scoreboard in Week 5 right here on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week. Stay with us.
A big disgrace, waving your banner all over. We will. All right.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Our tradition for my football team is we dress up, shirt and tie. I had a tie, but I didn't know how to tie it. Usually I would have my dad help me, but he was deployed. I'm thinking, don't worry about it. My grandma should know.
He says, can you tie a tie? And I'm like, no. But we're on our way to Chick-fil-A.
I recognize them because they came into our store so much. Miss Bertha and Mr. Terrence, I'm like, of course, I'll help them out and show them how to tie a tie.
It wasn't just the tie, it's what was in your heart.
It's my pleasure. Doing good, man. You got it.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Hey, high school football fans, you want your school to get the VIP treatment? Here's your chance. You choose which game will be the Ford Game of the Week, Friday, October 11th. Here are your choices: Edmond Memorial at Norman, Southmore at Mustang, and Deer Creek at Del City. To vote, go to yourview.com/FordFanPick. Vote early, vote often, and tell your friends. You vote, you decide. Winners will be announced Monday, October 7th. For more information and the best in high school football, go to YurView.com.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is dumb.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Conger Field here in Purcell, Oklahoma. It's YurView, your Oklahoma Ford dealer's game of the week. And the Sulphur Bulldogs rated number 4 in Class 3A, right now with a record of 4-0 on the season, leading the Purcell Dragons 14-7. Good showing by Purcell early in the contest. They jumped out to the early lead, held on for a while. Sulphur was able to get a couple of turnovers and eventually turn those into points, and they have their 14 points now to lead it 14-7 at the intermission.
Yeah, and I think that Purcell, like you said, they got off to a really good start, and I think they even played pretty well throughout that second quarter. It just seemed like they lost that energy they had, and that's what I mentioned at some point during the broadcast was it seemed like they just kind of lost that spark, that edge that they had early on. It seemed like they came out ready to go, and they came out guns a-blazing, and then after it kind of got going in the game a little bit and Sulphur put up a touchdown or so, then it was like, well, now we're actually playing some football. Now I'm kind of tired.
All right, let's take a look at how they got on the scoreboard. Purcell on that opening drive, and here you see how they get their first points of the game. Addison Love taking it in.
Yeah, this was after the punt situation or the kickoff situation that we had really early in the game. I mean, it was right off the bat, so that gave Purcell good field position to start, probably around that 40-yard line. And so a short field to go, and they ended up getting down into the red zone and a handoff to Addison Love, who was one of my players to watch tonight. He's had a good game today so far and a good run up the middle. Ends up stretching that ball out and getting 6 points out of it.
Then we get a little razzle-dazzle right here, Dylan.
Yeah, this one was interesting, that hook and ladder we talked about, and one of the toughest things about that is, like I said, for Love to be aware enough to see that that ball's coming his way and then takes it another 15 yards or so down the field and gets knocked out of bounds. Luckily, that fumble, I guess the ball was out of bounds already, and so it stays Purcell football. But, man, that was exciting to see because it was one of those plays you don't really see coming.
So Purcell leading at 7-0, and then the turnover.
Yeah, right here, pressured and flushed out of the pocket, chucks it down the field, and the interception comes from number 12, Kyle Stevenson, who ends up getting an interception at the end of the first half as well. And so I don't know if we have that one or not, but that was just interception number 1 for the night on him.
There you go, nice job. And then Sulphur finally gets on the scoreboard with their first score of the night.
Yeah, and so this one is that pistol formation. We see them come out in a lot, and so hands it off to Logan Smith, and he didn't even get touched. Like I said, he probably could have walked in there. That offensive line has been doing a great job creating holes all night and creating enough time in the passing game for that quarterback to let it go. And right there, creates a huge hole, and Logan Smith able to get through it.
That ties it up early in the second quarter, and then here Sulphur takes the lead.
Yeah, another big run here, and this one he seemed like he was going to go down right there, and maybe the safety or the linebacker, whichever that was in position to make the tackle, but not low enough in time, still standing straight up, and he's able to bounce off that tackler and bounce it outside. And right there, able to take it down the sideline, get 6 points on the board, and again, the offensive line came up big on that play.
All right, still lots to do here in this halftime report. We'll also check some of the scores from across the state and all the different classes, some of the bigger games of the week. But right here, it's Sulphur on top of Purcell. They lead it by a score of 14-7 here on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Saturday night and I just got paid. My heart say go, go. Have time for Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it out. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
Drive the new Ford Ranger today with 0% financing for 60 months plus $2,500 total savings. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
The right connection can open a world of curiosity for your child. With Cox, families that have a K-12 student and receive government assistance could qualify for low-cost home internet with Wi-Fi. That means more learning and more achieving. Qualify now. It's time to connect with Cox.
The Ford Game of the Week is the best in Oklahoma, and it's live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. East meets West Thursday night when the Broken Arrow Tigers head to Moore School Stadium to take on the Westmore Jaguars. Quarterback Dayton Wolf has led the Jags to a strong 2019 start. OU commit Andrew Rame anchors the Broken Arrow offensive line. See if Westmore can stir things up in this very tough district. It's Broken Arrow and Westmore Thursday night at 7 live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. Thursday night is football night with the Ford Game of the Week. Ford is the best in Oklahoma.
Big disgrace, waving your banner all over. We will.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Back again at Purcell, where the Dragons trail the Sulphur Bulldogs by a score of 14-7 here in Purcell, America. And there's also some other games going on throughout the state. Dylan Rivera has some score updates for you.
Well, I mentioned earlier in the game that Seminole head coach Mike Snyder is going for the state record number of wins, number 364 if he pulls off a win tonight. But as of halftime, I don't think he's going to be doing that. I think the record will probably have to wait another week as Lincoln Christian is the opponent, and they are up 44-0 at halftime right now. So it's been a rough start to the game for sure. And they're definitely in a deep hole, so that record is probably going to be put on hold. Right now in 6A football, my Broken Arrow Tigers are up 14-7 at halftime on the Norman Tigers. And that's the Norman Tigers who are 4-0. And the Broken Arrow Tigers, who are 3-1, and Norman is one of those teams that's on the west side of the state that actually could be competitive against east side teams this year. And as you go across some of the other scores, Skiatook Tahlequah is a close one right now at half. Skiatook is only 2-2, and Tahlequah is 4-0, but Tahlequah only has a 1-point lead on Skiatook. Noble down 28-34 to El Reno right now.
Good game.
And Ardmore at Altus. Ardmore has the lead 13-0.
All right, so there's some of the scores from across the state. I find it interesting, and of course it's west side, east side, and 6A all the time. The four teams that are ranked at the top in 6A have more losses than the next six teams from the west side.
Really?
How about that?
That's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Chew on that for a while. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with more for you. Sulphur leading Purcell right here, 14-7 on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Our tradition for my football team is we dress up, shirt and tie. I had a tie, but I didn't know how to tie it. Usually I would have my dad help me, but he was deployed. I'm thinking, don't worry about it. My grandma should know.
He says, can you tie a tie? And I'm like, no. But we're on our way to Chick-fil-A.
I recognize them because they came into our store so much. Miss Bertha and Mr. Terrence, I'm like, of course, I'll help them out and show them how to tie a tie.
It wasn't just the tie, it's what was in your heart.
It's my pleasure. Doing good, man. You got it.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is down.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2,000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Freedom.
The right connection can open a world of curiosity for your child. With Cox, families that have a K-12 student and receive government assistance could qualify for low-cost home internet with Wi-Fi. That means more learning and more achieving. Qualify now. It's time to connect with Cox.
Hey, high school football fans, you want your school to get the VIP treatment? Here's your chance. You choose which game will be the Ford Game of the Week, Friday, October 11th. Here are your choices: Edmond Memorial at Norman, Southmore at Mustang, and Deer Creek at Dell City. To vote, go to yourview.com/FordFanPick. Vote early, vote often, and tell your friends. You vote, you decide. Winners will be announced Monday, October 7th. For more information and the best in high school football, go to yourview.com.
Night and I just got paid. My heart say go, go. Have a time called Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it out. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
Drive the new Ford Ranger today with 0% financing for 60 months plus 2,500 total savings. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer. Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2,000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
The Ford Game of the Week is the best in Oklahoma, and it's live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. East meets West Thursday night when the Broken Arrow Tigers head to Moore School Stadium to take on the Westmore Jaguars. Quarterback Dayton Wolf has led the Jags to a strong 2019 start. OU commit Andrew Rain anchors the Broken Arrow offensive line. See if Westmore can stir things up in this very tough district. It's Broken Arrow and Westmore Thursday night at 7 live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. Thursday night is football night with the Ford Game of the Week. Ford is the best in Oklahoma.
A big disgrace, waving your banner all over. We will.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Hey, high school football fans, you want your school to get the VIP treatment? Here's your chance. You choose which game will be the Ford Game of the Week Friday, October 11th. Here are your choices: Edmond Memorial at Norman, Southmore at Mustang, and Deer Creek at Del City. To vote, go to yourview.com/FordFanPick. Vote early, vote often, and tell your friends. You vote, you decide. Winners will be announced Monday, October 7th. For more information and the best in high school football, go to yourview.com.
A big disgrace, waving your banner all over. We will.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Purcell as both teams back on the field, ready for second half action here this evening. Steve Marshall, Dylan Rivera, and the crew from YurView. As we've got a pretty tight ball game to this point. Sulphur leading at 14-7 after Purcell jumped out on top. Scored the first time they had the football to take the 7-0 lead. It stood that way until the very first play of the second quarter when Sulphur was able to get into the end zone, make it 7-7, and then they scored with about 4:50 left to go in that half, and that's where we stand right now, 14-7, and it should be Sulphur kicking off to Purcell to start this second half.
This matchup has a little bit of historical context, too, that we haven't really talked about, is the 2004 state championship. Sulphur won that one. But they played Purcell in that state championship, actually, in 2004. They beat Purcell 48-12 to win that game. So this has not only context in today's time, but context about 15 years ago.
There you go. I like it. Doing some deep diving.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there's the Bulldogs. They are all set to kick it away. The newly refurbished and sharp-looking field in Purcell at Conger Field. Here's the kickoff. That's going to sail back to about the 10-yard line, taken out to about the 20, and that is it. Nowhere to go. Good job on special teams there, coming up and making the play. We've called his name a bunch tonight. He scored 2 touchdowns. Logan Smith in on the tackle, among others. So we'll get to see Cody Croth come out, the quarterback. Started off the game where he was just zipping the ball all over the place and was finding open receivers. Obviously, Sulphur, a good football team. They're ranked number 4 in Class 4A. They made some adjustments. Purcell had a much tougher time moving the football as we got deeper into that first half of play. Let's see how it comes here in the second half.
Yeah, Croth had a very up and down first half, we'll say. It was very good to start and then slowly kind of sputtered out, and then every now and then would have a good highlight play. Speaking of highlight plays, how about the run up the middle?
Addison Love in the first carry gets it all the way out to the 38-yard line. Big gain on the play. And very quickly a first down. Good push by that offensive line. And, man, you just look at the difference in size between the offensive line for Purcell and the defensive line for Sulphur. It's got to be 20, 30 pounds per man.
Yeah, that Purcell offensive line we've talked about is a little bit depleted due to injury. And so with Purcell being kind of undersized, they're only going to maybe get a good push every now and then, I'd imagine, because this Sulphur defensive line, like you mentioned, look at that. It looks like, one of them's the senior class, one of them's the freshman class going up against each other right here.
Nice play on that last one by Brandon Lloyd, sophomore defensive end. As he tripped up the ball carrier there, actually lost a yard on the play. Bulldogs show blitz, going to roll it to the right side. Croth on the run, throws, pass is incomplete. Trying to hook up over there once again with Mojo Browning.
That's an interception. It's going the other way. Sulphur's got the ball. Ref pointed Sulphur Bulldogs' way.
Yeah, interception. So the pass is picked off. And they'll set it up inside Purcell territory at the 47-yard line. Wide receiver going up top of your screen is Tavius McDonald. Quarterback is Reese Ratchford. And Logan Smith has been their go-to guy tonight. He gets the first carry here in this second half. Nice move, spins. Lost the football. Looks like he just forgot something. As he made a nice move and got it going, and then somehow lost it. It looks like he was able to go back and get it himself.
Wow. That was interesting. Like you said, it looked like he just kind of left something behind. He was going and then goes, oh, wait, I don't have the football. And turn back around and go pick it back up. And great job by Purcell's defense to break through that offensive line and get through early. And then he was able to shake off that first tackler, big number 72 from the defensive line, and then kept going forward. And somebody must have got a hand on the ball. And so a decent play for the Purcell defense. And then there's another drop ball there.
McDonald gets back on that one. So how often is it that you fumble the ball twice, 2 consecutive plays, but gain yardage?
Not only that, but you fumble the ball twice, and then just the play before you got the interception. So this has been an interesting couple of plays here over this first stretch of the second half. Maybe somebody greased up the ball at halftime.
Maybe. 3rd and 3. Bulldogs' first possession of the second half. Running play up the middle, and that got stuffed. McDonald, the ball carrier. See who gets up off the bottom of the pile there. Number 67, among others, in there for Purcell, the Dragons, and that is Brendan Bacon.
Yeah, it was 72 that had the big highlight of the play, though. Jason Shea came in and just knocked him over. I mean, I'm talking about, we say laying the wood. That was laying a whole tree down. There was a lot of wood there.
Also, Seth Madrid in on the tackle as well. Good stand. Now 4th and short for Sulphur. Give straight ahead. Smith's got first down yardage and then some inside the 30, and then tripped up in the secondary, but not before he's able to get enough yardage for the first down as the Bulldogs continue their opening drive here in this second half of play, leading by 7.
And it looked like he sort of learned from that previous mistake. He was holding onto that ball maybe a little bit tighter. It looked like one of the linebackers was getting pretty well blocked, but he was able to get an arm in there and get a hand on the football as he was making his run into the secondary and had that tight grip on it. So that arm that got a hand on the football didn't end up making a difference, and he ends up getting that first down.
Sulphur moving methodically downfield. Handoff, McDonald breaks into the secondary. McDonald jumps over a would-be tackler, and he gets into the end zone. Touchdown, no flags on the play, and the Bulldogs extend their lead on the touchdown run by Tavius McDonald.
And his speed compared to the defense looks inhuman. I mean, you hand him the ball, and he takes off, and he goes up that gap, and next thing you know, he's into the secondary. Like, when you blink your eyes, he's gone from the line of scrimmage to the secondary. And the blocks, of course, come in handy, using those lead blockers effectively, making that last guy miss, and you can see the frustration on the defense as they let another touchdown go, and it went from a 7-0 game to now Sulphur up 21-7.
So McDonald on the touchdown run, extra point attempt on the way by Kyle Stevenson is up, and it is good. We've got just under 9 minutes left to go here in the third quarter. Sulphur starting to gather momentum and gain control. They now lead it by a score of 21-7 on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Saturday night and I just got paid. My heart say go, go. Have time for Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it out. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
Drive the new Ford Ranger today with 0% financing for 60 months plus $2,500 total savings. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back, everybody. Sulphur with another touchdown, now extending that lead to 21-7. And very quickly, another look at that touchdown run.
Yeah, Tavius McDonald, one of my players to watch for tonight. I have him listed as a wide receiver, then I marked it out and said, okay, well, maybe he's playing quarterback. Then I marked it out and said running back. And then I marked it back out and said wide receiver. So that's what he's playing, is wide receiver. And right there on the jet sweep, gets handed the ball, and he takes off, and the lead blockers make a big play again, and we saw it earlier with Logan Smith on a couple of runs. Those blockers are doing an excellent job tonight against the Purcell defense, and right there using them effectively, and he gets the touchdown out of it.
On the kick return there, number 12 is
number 42.
Oh, good.
We have a name for him now,
That's
don't
right,
we?
Nate Willis.
Nate Willis is the guy.
So Nate will get it out to about the 22-yard line, and that's where the Dragons will put it in play, 1st and 10. So they scored on their very first possession of the ball game. They moved the ball on their second possession, but unable to do anything with it. And since then, have really been stifled by the defense of the Bulldogs. Creed Smith goes wide left, top of your screen, or now he's on the top of your screen. You see him there in the slot. Quarterback is Croth, drops to throw, steps up, fires. Nice defensive play. Logan Smith on the defensive side of the football, making the play that time.
And the quarterback's definitely out of rhythm right now. He's made a lot of very good plays here and there, but it's overshadowed by the fact that he's made a lot of throws that have been into questionable coverage, whether it be two different defenders in the area, or maybe just somebody hanging off of him, and then a couple of throws that have just been way off target, maybe a little bit too far out in front or a little bit too low. Sometimes evading pressure that's not even there. It seems like he'll be in the pocket and start rushing out of there like there's somebody on his backside when really there's nobody there. So he's got to really settle in and get his feet right first, and then he can start making these throws a little better, I think.
Quick out there is complete. They get it to Willis once again. Good job defensively. Coming up, making the tackle is Ethan Massey. And number 12, Kyle Stevenson. Pick up a 5 on the play. That'll bring up 3rd and 5. Croth throws. Tipped, incomplete. Flag is out.
Well, I don't know if maybe the contact, because obviously it was off screen when it would have happened. I don't know if maybe it was something illegal or not, or if it was maybe just an incidental tripping, but there is a flag on the field, so you got to imagine it is the former.
Logan Smith wasn't happy with the call, so it may have been against him, number 5 for the Sulphur Bulldogs. So it's going to be a penalty against Sulphur. We'll keep it and give them a 1st down. He's going to stop and put the ball down there at the 42-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Dragons.
Yeah, and sometimes it's incidental contact where your feet get tripped up or something like that, and they say, okay, well, there's nothing there. Both guys were engaged, and it just happened. There's nothing there, nothing intentional, nothing illegal. But obviously we couldn't see exactly what happened, and the ref says, well, you knocked him over, son, or something like that. So we have a 1st down now for Purcell and a big break for the Dragons.
Crossing pattern just does sneak it in the very window that he needed to get it into, and that's a 1st down. A nice catch there again by Creed Smith.
Well, if I had looked away and looked back, I would have thought he was playing darts the way he threw that one. That one was fast and on target, and like you talked about, it was a tight window. Didn't have a lot of room to fit that one in, but got it in just in time and just on target. And that wide receiver that he's been looking to quite a bit tonight, Creed Smith, was able to come up with the catch and a 1st down once again for Purcell. And maybe this is the momentum they need to get down into that red zone again.
Love is in the backfield, but the pass goes to the left side, and it's intercepted. There is a flag out. And that may have been offensive pass interference, trying to go over the top of the defender. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and he threw that one way up into the air, and you got to make sure if you're throwing that one up like that, you've got to get it up over the defender as well, and that one just too short. If you're going to, put it out there, it's got to be in front of your receiver, out on kind of that back shoulder where only the receiver can get it, but he could not get it there, fell short, and that defensive back able to make the interception. It looked like it was number 28, Co Withrow, that pulled that one in for the defense, and it will be Sulphur football now, and they have 21 unanswered points to this point in the game. Last possession came up with a touchdown, and so Sulphur is rolling right now. Purcell looking for answers on the defensive side of the ball. That ground game has been successful. We saw last possession the jet sweep ended up getting them that 30-yard touchdown run. So Purcell's going to have to find something and get something going, because right now it seems like Sulphur has really kind of stifled their momentum.
From their own 18-yard line, the quarterback is Ratchford. He's had an unspectacular night, even though he's not had to do a whole lot himself. He will on this play, however, as he jumps through the defense, breaks another tackle, and then finally it takes 3 guys to get him down as he gets it out across the 35 to about the 37-yard line.
Well, Steve, I'm double-checking my roster. He's listed as a quarterback. That play right there looked like a running back.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he trucked over the defender, that was a great move, and the way you put that shoulder down, I've mentioned it so many times tonight because Logan Smith is very good at it. And right there, putting that shoulder down into him, laying the wood, and the defensive back is left without a tackle.
Smith on the carry next will get it out to the 40-yard line, picks up about 3 on the play. And again, just looking at the size differential between these two squads, I mean, it says a lot, the desire and the heart that these kids from Purcell have, because they definitely look outsized. I don't know if it's the uniforms, but Sulphur appears to be the much bigger team. They've played more physical as the game has gone on.
Well, they say the camera adds 10 pounds, Steve.
Okay. Option to the right, nowhere to go for Ratchford on that one, as he gets back to about the line of scrimmage, if that.
Good job on the run defense there, stifling that run, but we've seen Sulphur be successful on the ground, so that's why they're going to that, and they rightfully should. Logan Smith has busted more than just 1 or 2 runs for more of 15 on this night, and so that Purcell defense doing a good job to halt that run, but we'll see if they're able to keep that as a constant throughout the rest of this second half.
Ratchford again, keeping it, looking for any type of hole he can find. He goes forward for about 5 or 6 yards. Nice moves on the carry.
And I like the way he's reading the defense as he's running, especially for a quarterback. Again, he's running almost like a running back the way he's playing right now. And he's got his head up and he's looking for the right holes. And right there he had 2 different options, one of which had a linebacker right there at the end of it, and the other one had maybe a few more yards to go before that next defender. And he picked the right hole, gets another 3 or 4 yards out of it, and now we're on a first down for Sulphur.
So the Bulldogs starting to pile up the yardage on offense. Now from their own 47-yard line, Smith behind the quarterback, Ratchford. Takes it, goes off the right side, tries to cut back and find a hole, and a great job there by Addison Love on the defensive side. One-on-one in the open field, and he made the tackle and drops him for a loss on the play.
Yeah, one-on-one, running back versus running back right there. And now we're going to have a late penalty, so somebody on the Purcell side of the football said or did something that the ref didn't like.
So they'll sort this one out. That's going to go against the Dragons. So that'll push them across the midfield stripe and into Purcell territory. Just under 6 minutes left to go in the contest, or in the third quarter, sorry. Sulphur on top, leading at 21-7. They'll spot the ball at the Dragons' 38-yard line.
Well, I'll be honest, I came into this game thinking at about this time of the game, we probably have more of about a 4 or 5 touchdown difference than 2 or 3. And so Sulphur has had their hands full tonight with Purcell, at least in the first half. And McDonald, he never looks like he has his hands full. It's almost every time he touches the ball, it's a pretty successful play. And right there, another first down gain for him.
They list him at 5'10", 155, but he's not afraid to go head on and take on the would-be tackler. And then if you give him any room at all, we've already seen him. He's very fast. He's elusive, likes that spin move.
Who doesn't like the spin move, man? That's a fun one to watch, even as a fan.
So another set of downs, 1st and 10, now inside at the 23-yard line. Give to Logan Smith. Smith takes on the would-be tackler, and that was Love that time. Love didn't win that battle as Smith got the lower center of gravity, and he'll pick up 9 on the 1st down carry.
So the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, everybody knows how to put their shoulder into them on this Sulphur offense, and that's creating such an issue for a team that we have already said is a little bit undersized on the Purcell defense. So when you're getting into that second line of defense and you're putting your shoulder into them, you're going through them, it's going to make them feel a little bit defeated because you can't really do much when they're just straight up bigger than you.
Titus Mason has to leave the game. The official didn't like the way that he got up a little wobbly, little woozy there. They sent him to the sidelines, so he's out of the lineup for the Purcell defense. Let's see what Sulphur goes with here, looking at a 2nd and short. Ratchford going to keep it himself, has running room, left side. Ratchford inside the 10, inside the 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs. And right now, Sulphur just seems to be using that running game and wearing down the defense for what was already a shorthanded defense for the Dragons.
Well, and I love the play call here. We've seen McDonald be so lethal in that jet sweep play. And so right there, they say, all right, we're going to fake it on this one, see what we can get out of it. Quarterback Ratchford does that little pitch fake, makes the defense think, oh, this is going to McDonald again. A couple of those defenders get sucked over looking that way or thinking that way, and next thing you know, the quarterback takes off out to the weak side, and we're talking about a big gain at least. At the very minimum, it was going to be at least a 1st down. And then he ends up getting into that second line of defense. Wide receiver's got the lead block. Just go right through the defender, and there's 6 more points on the board, and Sulphur's got 28 unanswered.
All right, so with just under 5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter, Bulldogs in control. They lead Purcell 28-7, our score on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is dumb.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Sulphur increases their lead, now up by 3 touchdowns as they get the TD run by the quarterback, Reese Ratchford, taking it in. 28-7. Here's our replay again at that last touchdown.
Yeah, it was the quarterback keeper on this one, the fake jet sweep. And watch the edge here, a great block on the corner there, able to get just a little bit more space out there on the outside, and then that wide receiver number 1 out there, Mace Mobley, also making a lead block, or it might have been 12, Kyle Stevenson out there. I just saw the 1, but out there making the block and giving the quarterback some more time, some more space, and gets over to that corner of the end zone, just that little edge that he needed to get to. And he gets there, puts that shoulder into the defender, and that picks him up that extra yard or 2 to get to the end zone and find pay dirt.
It's 4 rushing touchdowns on the night for Sulphur. And now they lead it by a score of 28-7. Again, Sulphur came into this contest averaging 44 points per game and only giving up 13. So they're a little shy on the ends of both the offense and the defense. Purcell came out, started the game very well, got the opening kickoff, the turnover, and took it into the end zone to take that 7-0 lead, but it's been pretty much all Sulphur since then.
You talked about the per-game numbers for Sulphur, and it's almost flipped, almost reversed for the Dragons on the other side of the ball. It's 15.5 points per game for the Dragons, and then allowing about 33, 34 points per game to their opponents. So on paper, as we've mentioned a couple times, on paper, this looks like it should be going Sulphur's way.
That's Addison Love, who is down for the Purcell Dragons. We've already talked about the injury situations that they've been facing this year. He's trying to get up and finally does make it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's 28 for Sulphur.
Yeah, Withrow.
Yeah, Withrow. So Withrow makes it to the sidelines.
I believe he had an interception on the sideline earlier. I may be wrong on that. I didn't really catch the number earlier, but he was one of those players that was in the play at least. So he's a valuable piece of that defense at the linebacker, kind of able to play a safety if he needs to. He's got the speed too, but he's definitely a valuable player, and we'll see if that affects the Sulphur defense at all.
Croth wanting to go up top, going deep this time, trying to hook up with Mojo Browning. Overshoots the would-be target. Incomplete is the pass on that one.
Well, I'll give him credit on that throw. He at least put it out where his receiver was in line to get it. And most of the time on those long balls, he's been underthrowing it. That one just a little bit too far out in front. And so I'll give him credit for at least getting it into the right area. It wasn't quite on the right spot, though.
So 2nd down and 10 for the Dragons. Sulphur defense, after that first series, has shut them out. Trying to throw again. This one a high shot downfield. And the pass is caught. Nice job out there on the far side. That's Browning. And a nice throw there by Croth.
Play caller must have seen something he liked on the last play, because a very similar thing here, but it looks like Browning is upset, so I'm imagining there was a penalty somewhere. There is a yellow marker down on the field.
All right, so it's on the defense, so that play will stand. Yeah, that's the best throw that Croth has had, and now somebody else goes down for Purcell. I don't know if the cramps have started to get into some of the folks. As we mentioned, it's a lot cooler, probably 20 degrees cooler than some of the earlier games in the season. But one of the Dragons is down on the field with our score right now at 28-7. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we'll continue our coverage of your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is down.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2,000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Purcell. It's your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week tonight here on YurView, and next week we'll be in Noble as the Noble Bears take on the Sulphur Bulldogs in a 5A showdown. Be fun to get a look at the Bears and the Bulldogs. As we grab one of the teams from the far southwest. And, of course, one that's just a couple miles down the road a piece here off Highway 35 in the Noble Bears. It'll be a good 5A matchup next week as we look at the rankings this week. In 5A, Altus is number 9. Noble is not ranked in the top 10. And somebody's going to jump across the line a little bit early, and that'll give Purcell an additional 5 yards.
Number 9, Price Dobby, started listening to the snap count instead of the snap from the quarterback, the snap call, rather than watching it. And that happens a lot. You start thinking about listening rather than using your eyes to watch the ball, and sometimes that can lead to those penalties. That's why you see those quarterbacks a lot of times when it's like a 3rd and short or something like that, trying to just draw off sides.
Croth going to go downfield once again in a crowd. 2 defenders out there. Mojo Browning, the intended receiver, and the pass goes incomplete.
Well, that's 3 deep shots headed towards Browning in just this last possession. So obviously they're seeing something that they want to attack here. And there's a call against the defense, and it looks like it'll be some extra yardage.
So it looks like roughing the passer will be the call. That'll be 15 yards and an automatic first down. That will help the drive get as deep as Purcell has been in a while, all the way down to the 14, make it the 13-yard line.
Yeah, they had that first touchdown of the game, that opening touchdown. Took them maybe about 6-7 minutes to get that one. And since then have been held scoreless by the Sulphur defense. Couple of errant passes and some poor plays have resulted in some punts. And now in the red zone once again.
From the 18, Love has it. and fumbled the football. I don't know if it was ruled down or not, but they're going to spot it down at the 17-yard line, so they're actually going to give him a yard. I don't know if Sulphur's decided to really get after the football and get in there and pull at the ball and try to create more turnovers, but it seems like they've been having a lot of opportunities chasing some loose footballs on the field as Croth takes a look at the bench, takes the snap, drops the throw. Timing pattern over the middle, tipped and intercepted. Right near the goal line, breaking a couple of tackles and starting out now. That's Ratchford, the quarterback. You already mentioned how well he can run with the football, and he'll run it all the way out to about the 34, 33-yard line is where they're going to spot him, as Reese Ratchford comes up off the tip ball and comes away with the interception.
Yeah, and that's one of those impeccable interceptions, those unpredictable interceptions that ends up being a tipped pass. And you think, well, that was just going to fall incomplete. That one was just a little off target. And there's the defense swarming the area. So many defenders there. And they always say more than one guy to the ball. And right there, more than one guy at the ball ends up getting them an interception out of it. And I think that was actually kind of a poor spot. It probably should be another yard or two up. But either way, a great play from the defense. And quarterback Ratchford with the interception. And now a different quarterback in there because maybe he just needed a breather.
Yeah, in there now is TJ Todd. He's a junior quarterback, 6'3", 166. We'll watch the sidelines and see if Ratchford does not come back in. Although at this time, with a 3-touchdown lead and about 3.5 minutes to go third quarter, probably a little early to look at replacing him for the rest of the ball game, but also a good opportunity to get some snaps there for the junior, TJ Todd. He's got kind of a quarterback's build, doesn't he?
He's got a quarterback's name, too. That's a good quarterback
name. He does. Running play, right side, Logan Smith hurtling over the top and getting first down yardage out near the 45-yard line.
Yeah, he kind of just floated over the little block there. One of the offensive linemen, 71, the right tackle, takes 67 down to the ground, and he's pancaking him. He's over the top of him, and as you said, Logan Smith comes running up, and he says, well, I guess I can't go right up this gap anymore, so I'm going to have to go over it. And so he jumps over it, and it looked like when I was little, jumping over the creek that we have in our neighborhood, and I used to do that. And so that's what it was right there, jumping over the creek.
Here's Smith again on the carry. He'll get 4 yards this time before he's taken down. Coming up from the secondary to make the play there for Purcell, number 20. That is Nicholas Albright. Actually going to spot him back at the 48, so a gain of just 3 on the play. TJ Todd stays in there at quarterback.
And you could see Reese Ratchford just right behind the coaching staff up there, if we can end up getting another view at that here in a second, maybe when the quarterback or the cameraman zooms back out. But he was right there behind the head coach, so it could be just a matter of plays before he's back in the game.
Todd's going to put it up, and he wants to go deep and has a receiver. Wide open was Tavius McDonald. Looked like he got his hands on it, but couldn't pull it in.
I don't know if maybe his reaction was just a little bit late to the ball or what, but that ball was definitely on target. It was a good throw from the backup quarterback, mind you. That was a great throw. On time, our target. And McDonald, who's been so consistent tonight, looked like he probably could have reeled that one in, but just couldn't find the ball. Maybe a little bit of an over-the-shoulder catch. And Ratchford back into the game after that.
It almost looked like it maybe went off his shoulder pad or something.
That's definitely possible. Like I said, it looked like it was kind of an over-the-shoulder deal, so maybe he just couldn't quite track it.
All right, so Ratchford back in at the quarterback spot. Fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, goes right side, runs through the defense, and he's gone. Ratchford is gone. Touchdown. Sulphur. He just needed a little breather, that's all. Now he needs another one.
Well, he got him all the way to about the 34, 35-yard line on the interception return. Then you plug him back into the game, say, all right, we're going to give you a quarterback keeper again. And then he goes about 50 yards down the field for another touchdown. And that's his second on the day, mind you. The last possession he went for a touchdown as well. So he has taken over this game in this third quarter.
With 1:46 left to go, 48-yard touchdown run. Stevenson in for the extra point attempt for the Sulphur Bulldogs, as he looks to make it 35-7. Extra point on the way is up, but it is no good. Pushed it off to the right side. So with just about a minute 45 left to go here in this third quarter play, it's all Sulphur now. The Bulldogs on top of the Dragons. They lead it 34-7 on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back. Sulphur Bulldogs fell behind Purcell 7-0 after the first possession on offense for the Dragons. Since then, 34 consecutive unanswered points for the Sulphur Bulldogs as they now have jumped out to a 34-7 lead. Still just under 2 minutes left to go here in this third quarter.
When it rains, it pours, Steve. When it rains, it pours. 34 unanswered points for the Sulphur Bulldogs. And Purcell a couple of times have really made a good run on the offensive side of the ball and gotten down the field, but it always ends up being a critical mistake. And usually, I hate to say it, from Croth, who's thrown a couple of interceptions in the red zone. And it has resulted in this score that has just been blown to Sulphur's direction.
Nate Willis on the return out across the 40 near midfield for the Dragons. They're going to spot him down at about the 49-yard line. Nice return by number 42, Nate Willis.
I'm glad we finally got his name because his impact on the game has definitely earned recognition for his name. So I'm glad we figured that one out. So a good kick return there. And that was one of those where you switch fields and it kind of catches that defense off balance because everybody starts rushing to one side and one edge and one sideline. And then all the blockers kind of push them back that way. And the return man can just kind of turn that corner and pick up a lot of extra yardage.
Croth, quick drop back. Pass complete. Going to get about 6 yards on the reception there. Willis again.
Yeah, great job holding on to that one. He was hit by two defenders in his backside right after reeling it in. And those balls can be tough to hold on to whenever you get that, contact from behind. And so a great job making sure he keeps two hands on it and goes to the ground with it and gets a 6-yard gain on first down. And we'll see what Purcell decides to do here with just the short ground left to the first down marker.
Clock running, just about a minute left to go here in the third quarter. Croth handoff, straight ahead, going to about the 40-yard line. It's Addison Love on the carry.
Well, I think Addison Love has had a pretty good game, if we're being honest. It just seems like they don't really hand the ball off to him as much as maybe they should. As Croth has got a number of interceptions tonight. Maybe go to the ground game, see if you can get that rolling, and if you can get that going, get that getting ahead of steam, then maybe you turn back to the passing game and see if you can kind of bounce back and forth with each other and see if that can maybe attack this Sulphur defense a little bit more effectively.
Love gets the carry that time, but a good tackle there, wrapping up, making sure he doesn't go anywhere. That's Cole Gentry, sophomore defensive end, 6'2", 190.
That's a good thing you say he wrapped up and didn't let him go anywhere, because if he had missed that tackle, it definitely would have gotten into that second level of the defense and may have been about an 8 or 9 yard gain at the very least.
Final seconds going off the clock here. And that will be the end of the third quarter. Got to make sure.
Yeah.
So we played 3 here in Purcell. The Sulphur Bulldogs, they lead Purcell 34-7. Our score on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
Ford Game of the Week is the best in Oklahoma, and it's live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. East meets West Thursday night when the Broken Arrow Tigers head to Moore School Stadium to take on the Westmore Jaguars. Quarterback Dayton Wolf has led the Jags to a strong 2019 start. OU commit Andrew Rame anchors the Broken Arrow offensive line. See if Westmore can stir things up in this very tough district. It's Broken Arrow and Westmore Thursday night at 7 live on YurView, Cox Channel 3. Thursday night is football night with the Ford Game of the Week. Ford is the best in Oklahoma.
Welcome back, everybody. They put 12 minutes on the scoreboard clock. as we get ready to start this fourth quarter of play. First quarter, well, it was a pretty even ball game at the end of the first quarter. Purcell led 7-0, but Sulphur has definitely owned the second and third quarters, putting up 34 while blanking the Purcell Dragons.
Blanking, that's a good word. You don't hear that one often. I like that one.
Thank you.
You got a very articulate word bank, Steve.
Well, we try to impress as much as we can. Here's a throw to the near side and incomplete. Defense was there either right on time or maybe just a tad early. Looks like they're just going to say it was an incomplete pass. Unless we have something. Oh, no, we got a penalty up here. The referee.
No, I see no laundry on the field today.
Okay. So now 3rd and 11 for the Bulldogs, or for Purcell rather, sorry. Here comes the blitz from the Bulldogs, and Croth is in a world of hurt.
Yeah, and that's not how you evade the pressure. You don't start going backwards. Let that one go, or just hold your ground, take the hit as best you can. Because running backwards isn't going to do your team any good, and right there putting themselves into a deeper hole. 4th and 21. It's definitely a punting situation for the Dragons here.
Withrow, number 28, also number 40, Cole Gentry, in on the sack of the quarterback. And you can see they were showing blitz, and they came with it. And Purcell's probably not going to watch much of the tape on their offense in the second, third, and fourth quarter. But certainly did a good job in that first quarter, as they really did a nice job in moving it down the field and getting that first touchdown. Flag is out, and the ball carrier, Tavius McDonald,
yeah, McDonald has had a pretty big impact on this game. He's had a good return at one point where he picked up a lot of yardage and put him just about 10 yards out from the end zone, and that ended up getting Sulphur its first points of the game. We saw him on a jet sweep pick up a touchdown on a big run, and a couple of catches in the passing game. He's been quite the utility player for the Bulldogs, and it looks like, and I may be wrong on this, but it looks like another quarterback coming into the game as Ratchford is back on the sidelines, and enter again TJ Todd.
So Todd back in the lineup. Take the snaps for the Sulphur Bulldogs. First play, turns, gives to number 5, Logan Smith. And Smith, I got a feeling he runs hurdles in the track team.
Probably, yeah.
Just going to guess.
Yeah, you're probably right. He likes that hurdle move, doesn't he?
He has used it and used it well to his liking tonight. Gets it out to the 45-yard line. Sulphur not taking their time. They're getting right up to the line of scrimmage. And here goes Logan Smith again, 6 yards this time.
Well, they're not taking their time. You're absolutely right, but those runs will run the time down. So that could see this fourth quarter speed up a little bit, as the second half has been much slower than the first half for sure.
How many times have you seen the quarterback wear gloves on his throwing hand?
Yeah, it's not very often you see that. Some quarterbacks prefer that, and I've seen that before, but it's definitely a rarity. You're right. I didn't even notice that.
I don't know that I've ever seen it before. Running play left side. Maybe I just need to pay closer attention. Does not quite get enough, it appears. Oh, they do say he does have enough for the first down.
Well, TJ Todd's also listed as a defensive back. So
no, but shouldn't you have to take your gloves off?
You're right. Yeah, he probably should. Maybe he's comfortable enough with the glove on that he feels like he can still sling the ball with the glove on. But I don't know. I'm not the quarterback, so I can't tell you.
That's where I need to have one of my retired referee friends where, we can just dial them up during the game and find out. Todd turns, hands off. Logan Smith explodes up the middle, and a shoestring tackle made there by number 26 for Purcell. That is Gavin Constant. Otherwise, Logan Smith is adding a lot of yardage to his total, which is already quite high for the night.
Yeah, not only adding yardage, he probably would have added some points to our scoreboard down there at the bottom of the screen. That was a big run, gaping hole. Again, this offensive line has had a great push all game long, and that 3-4 defense, there's only 3 guys in the dirt, so those linebackers have to be ready when the running back gets through the hole. And right here, McDonald's going to take the carry, and short run for him. But Purcell's defense has been from the get-go, from the start, has been struggling with the ground game. It seems like the runners, no matter who's back there, whether it be Ratchford, whether it be McDonald, or even Smith, every single one of them has been able to find big gains on the ground.
So they'll call it 2nd down and 8. Trips to the left side. Running play, take the option. Pitch it to Tavius McDonald. He's one-on-one. Nice open field tackle made there by Addison Love. And he gets down. Let's see, they're going to mark him about the 4.5, 5 yard, right at the 5-yard line. So a 1st and goal opportunity coming up for Sulphur to try and extend that lead.
I can tell you one thing, the linebackers coach is happy with the way Addison Love has made those open field tackles tonight. He also had one against Logan Smith earlier, where Smith and him were just one-on-one, and right here McDonald and him one-on-one, and both times he wins the matchup, he gets the tackle. McDonald is a shifty player, so to bring him down in an open field situation, in a one-on-one situation, that's not a small task. It's not an easy task. And so to get that one there, great job by Love.
Running play, try to go up the middle, can't get quite into the end zone. Clock now under 8 minutes left to go.
Helmet came off of Smith, so he's going to head over to the sideline. And we'll see if McDonald maybe takes a carry here, or if maybe they put it in the air. I don't know if they would this close to the end zone or not. Well, really, the likely situation is Ratchford probably keeps it.
Runs into his running back, hands it off, but unable to go forward is Braden Standifer, sophomore running back, 5'9", 145, his first carry of the night. Now a 3rd and goal from the 4.
Well, we mentioned Mike Snyder going for a record number of wins tonight. Jim Dixon, the head coach of Sulphur, who I know you've probably been around for a long time, as you've been covering high school broadcasting, football games, doing all that stuff for quite a while. Not to call you an old man or anything.
No, that's fine.
But Jim Dixon's been around for quite a while. Been around since 1975 with this same Sulphur team, and
amazing.
He's had quite a number of wins himself.
Nice toss there over the outstretched hands of the defender, and a touchdown for the Sulphur Bulldogs as they find Price Daubie in the back of the end zone. Take a look at the play once again.
Man, I'm surprised they don't go to Price Daubie more in the red zone. Maybe they don't like to pass the ball a lot as they get closer to the end zone. They seem like they do like the run game quite a bit, but Price Daubie's a huge target. You can get it to him pretty quickly and pretty easily right there. It's evident as the 6'4" tight end is a huge target. I mean, it's big for 6A, it's big for 5A, and it's huge as you get further down the ladder. And here in 3A, 6'4" tight end is a big guy.
40-7 is our score on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week.
A big disgrace, waving your banner all over. We will.
Drive a new Ford F-150 today with 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Extra point attempt is away. The kick is good. And so Sulphur increases their lead. Now they're on top 41-7. Your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week. Bulldogs lead it by 34.
Hey, high school football fans, you want your school to get the VIP treatment? Here's your chance. You choose which game will be the Ford Game of the Week Friday, October 11th. Here are your choices: Edmond Memorial at Norman, Southmore at Mustang, and Deer Creek at Del City. To vote, go to yourview.com/FordFanPick. Vote early, vote often, and tell your friends. You vote, you decide. Winners will be announced Monday, October 7th. For more information and the best in high school football, go to yourview.com.
Welcome back to Purcell. Just under 7 minutes remaining in the contest as Sulphur adds to their lead, now leading Purcell. 41-7 is our score. It was very close at the halftime intermission. It was a 14-7 lead for Sulphur after Purcell took the early lead at 7-0 with 8:15 to go in the first quarter. Sulphur got their 2 touchdowns the first play of the second quarter, and then later to hold that 14-7 lead, and they have thrown a shutout here in the second half, outscoring Purcell by a 20-0 tally.
Well, and you talked a couple of times about the schedule that these teams have already had this season, and Sulphur's 4-0. 2 of those wins coming against 4A opponents already, Medill and Cash, and putting up numbers like 44 points a game and only allowing 12.75. Those 2 4A opponents couldn't even really compete against Sulphur. And Purcell, through their first 3 games, they only played 2A opponents and went 1-2 against those 2A opponents. And so their first game in 3A, which was last week against Plainview, they lost 56-0. So far struggling in 3A as they went from a 56-0 loss last week to now this week a 41-7 score right now. And so Purcell off to a rough start after making the playoffs last year and having a winning season, their first winning season in quite some time. I believe it was 2014 maybe was their last winning season before last year. So it's been a while for Purcell, and it seems like they had struck the right chords last year, and this year hitting another rough patch, and looks like a different quarterback is behind the center now.
All right, so Purcell back to work on the offense. Number 9 is taken over at the QB spot. That is Broderick Smith. He's a 6-foot sophomore.
6 foot 210, I'll add. He's pretty built for that quarterback position at 210.
So the line of scrimmage is the 43. So I did get confirmation from one of my referee friends that, yes, they can wear gloves on their throwing hand. I don't think I'd ever seen it before, though.
Yeah, it's not very often you see that because it kind of just tightens up your grip on the ball. And so when you're letting it go, it kind of sticks to the ball a little bit more, whereas, your natural hand, you're used to throwing with your hand. And so that glove kind of just muffs up the ground in between your hand and the ball.
Jeremiah Johnson on the carry now for Purcell as we're getting some of the second-line players. Gets the first down right at midfield. Stop the clock, move the chains. Thanks to David Foster if he's out there watching our ball game tonight. Run into him. Had a lot of the OU games throughout the years. Purcell now looking at a 1st and 10 situation. Quarterback looks over the defense. Running play looked like he lost his footing, maybe got a yard. And again on the carry, that is Jeremiah Johnson.
Well, it wasn't only the footing. It looked like it took him a second to get that handoff corralled in from the quarterback, and that timing mishap kind of messes up the play as well. So then he gets up to the gap and gets up to his hole, sees a defender, maybe tries to make a move and couldn't get that plant foot down like you said, slips, and that ends up costing him, well, it could have been maybe at least a couple yard gain, and ends up just getting him back to the line of scrimmage.
So again, right at midfield, looking at a 2nd down and 10. Bulldogs turn, handoff, getting away from the would-be tacklers. Looked like he wasn't going to get anything on the carry, but is able to fight forward as Johnson and pick up about 5, maybe even 6 yards on the carry.
Yeah, spun around a couple of his blockers. He was on that left side of his blockers and then put a spin move back towards the middle of the field, and that ended up getting him on the back side of his blockers where he needed to be, and then ends up getting a few more yards out of it by pulling one of the defenders forward. And Jeremiah Johnson, a good run on that one.
Purcell at the line of scrimmage. Their quarterback again, Broderick Smith. Taking over for Cody Croth. Running play. not much there. Sulphur defense rising up. And the clock continues to run as we now go under 4 minutes left to go in the ball game.
Well, I only got to allude to it for a quick second earlier on, but Jim Dixon, I was going to mention him because we've talked about Mike Snyder a couple times, but he's been around the block for quite a while now for Sulphur, and it's one thing to have coached for a long time and been at separate schools, but he's been at one school this whole time since 1975, and he now has a head coaching record of 313 and 180. That's a lot of big numbers there.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's a winning percentage of about 63, and he's fourth all-time in wins right now. Only trails the third-place Joe Tunnel by 9 wins.
He, of course, long time at Rush Springs. And looks like they're going to let this clock continue to roll and actually take a timeout on the field. We'll do the same. 41-7, Sulphur leading Purcell on your Oklahoma Ford dealers Game of the Week.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is dumb.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2,000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Dumb.
Welcome back to Purcell. 3:09 left to go in our ball game. And the Sulphur Bulldogs on top of Purcell. Dragons get a player on the field, and now they are ready to kick it away. Little variation on the rugby side kick. Takes a nice bounce and is going to roll inside the 10-yard line and finally come dead at about the 7-yard line, and that's where the Bulldogs will put it back in play, 1st and 10. As we said in Class 3A, Heritage Hall is the number 1 team in the state. You mentioned what Lincoln Christian was doing earlier. They're number 2. Plainview 3, Sulphur 4. Berry Hill is 5, John Marshall 6, Idabel 7, then Kingfisher, Perkins, Tryon, and Stigler rounding out the top 10. Got any score updates for us here as we're running down these final 3 minutes of play at Conger Field in Purcell?
See if I can find some good ones for us.
Got Altus and Noble next week, so see what those guys are doing. Here's a running play to the left side, getting to the corner and getting some good yardage and some first down and then some, all the way out to about the 28-yard line.
Well, looking at the scores, you just mentioned we call a Noble game next week. They are 3-1 at the moment, and they're playing El Reno, who is undefeated, 4-0. And that game is just a 4-point ball game. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, it is 48-44.
Good game.
Noble is down just by 4 at the moment. See if I can find a couple of scores that we were looking at earlier, like Broken Arrow and Seminoles scores. See if Mike Snyder was able to make it a ball game. At halftime, it was not looking pretty. It was 44-0. Final score 51-8. So at least they held him to a touchdown for the rest of the game.
Sounds like a running clock situation.
Yeah, that's a positive. But at the end of the day, the record will have to wait another week. Like I said, that kind of puts it off. We'll see if they're able to pick that up next week. Broken Arrow has busted that game open. It's 35-7 out in BA with the fourth quarter about 2 minutes in. So the East Side Tigers on top of the West Side Tigers.
It's always a case where the West Side teams, they might be really good offensively, which has been the case for some of the teams like Norman North in years past and Norman this year, but they just aren't up to par defensively. They're good on one side of the football, but not both. And I think those 4 schools in Tulsa that we always talk about are always good on both sides of the football. Until that changes, I don't see the results changing. Sulphur now content to work the clock and work it all the way down and then take a knee which will be the first of two. They have the new 40-second rule in high school football this year.
Well, it took a while, but, Sulphur, once they finally got into the game and got going, got the gears turning, they opened it up, and Purcell had no answers. It became one of those situations where once the floodgates were open, that's exactly what happened, is the flood came in. And so 41 unanswered points, that 7-point lead came early for Purcell, and unable to stop the Bulldogs from that point on. And, at that first quarter, it didn't look like Sulphur was that team that was in the state championship last year. And you were starting to think, well, Purcell hasn't really played all that well up to this point this season. Are they going to be able to maybe knock off the Bulldogs? Are they going to be able to make this a really good ball game? And then Sulphur says, well, hold on a second. That's just the first quarter. We got more for you for the next three. And then the Bulldogs, like I said, busted open. And it ends up being a 41-7 ball game as time ticks away.
Take the ball, snap it one more time, and that will do it. That will be your final score for this evening. The Sulphur Bulldogs off to a slow start, but they got things rolling, and they win big over Purcell. Our final score tonight, 41-7 on your Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll put the wraps, take a look at the highlights, and check some final scores if we have any for you when we come back.
Hold on to me. Don't let me go. Your first name is free. Last name is dumb.
Drive a new Ford Expedition today with 0% financing for 72 months plus 2000 Ford credit bonus cash. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Our tradition for my football team is we dress up, shirt and tie. I had a tie, but I didn't know how to tie it. Usually I would have my dad help me when he was deployed. I'm thinking, don't worry about it. My grandma should know.
He says, can you tie a tie? And I'm like, no. But we're on our way to Chick-fil-A.
I recognize them because they came into our store so much. Miss Bertha and Mr. Terrence, I'm like, of course, I'll help them out and show them how to tie a tie.
It wasn't just the tie, it's what was in your heart.
It's my pleasure. Doing good, man. You got it.
My heart say go, go. Have a time called Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it up. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
Drive the new Ford Ranger today with 0% financing for 60 months plus $2,500 total savings. Hurry into your Oklahoma Ford dealer.
Welcome back one final time to Purcell. Tonight, the Sulphur Dragons get the victory 41-7, but early on it didn't look that way as we take a look at the highlights, and actually it was Purcell that got on the board first as they get the first points of the ball game, and this was how they did so.
Yeah, they got down to the red zone really quickly. It's, as you can see down at the bottom of the screen, we were only within that 8th minute, and a quick run up the middle, Love able to punch it into the end zone, and you can see the excitement on the team. And I was talking about early on, they looked like they had that energy, and it just kind of dissipated throughout the game, and by the second or third quarter, you couldn't even tell that they had the lead at the beginning of the game.
Purcell led it 7-0 at that point in time, and then getting the football back. Here's a nice little razzle-dazzle play for you.
Yeah, that hook and ladder, it was a 3rd and 15, so a long way to go, and Coach says, well, why not go ahead and try it? Let's throw something out there, see what happens. And the short screen pass out to the wide receiver, it's a little high, and then that easy hook and ladder, just kind of drop it off to your running back, Addison Love, who's coming around, sweeping around to that corner, and able to pick up big yardage.
Purcell was trying to add to the score, but they threw it up for grabs, and Sulphur comes away with the interception here.
Yeah, and it looked like the ref was looking at the holding call, but everybody else was looking at the interception in the secondary. That was Stevenson on the interception, and that was just his first of the night as he picked off one right before halftime as well. We don't have the highlight for that one, but it was kind of a last resort type of thing, and he picked that one off as well.
Logan Smith had a big game tonight. Here's the first of 2 of his touchdowns for the Sulphur Bulldogs.
Yeah, this is the one where I've talked about the defense didn't even get to look at him. That's how well they were blocked on that one. It was a easy run straight up the middle. Offensive line had everybody moved out of the way, and it was as easy as it can get for that 6 points.
And that made it 14-7, and then right before half, Sulphur and Logan Smith able to get on the board again.
This one was a big run, and he got into the secondary, and one of the lead blockers maybe missed his assignment, but it didn't matter because Logan Smith says, I'm still going to get it into that end zone no matter what, and gets past that defender and then bounces out to the outside, gets around the corner, gets a nice block from one of his receivers to kind of seal that edge, and takes it all the way to the house.
Well, it was still just a 14-7 ball game at that point in time, but Sulphur started to open things up in the second half.
Yeah, one of my players to watch here, it was Tavius McDonald, as he found his way to the end zone, and it was a jet sweep. And then here in a couple seconds, I'd imagine we have the highlight for the fake jet sweep that the quarterback ran.
It's going to be Ratchford, and here's the first of his 2 touchdowns on the night here.
And that's what it is right here, the fake jet sweep. They got a touchdown on the last jet sweep, and they say, well, why not see if maybe the defense will bite on a fake? And so that's exactly what he did, and Stevenson's out there trying to get a lead block for him. Maybe didn't get a great block, so he's got to go through the defender, and he does so and gets to the end zone, 6 more points on the board.
And this time it's Ratchford, and he goes 48 yards, or this is interception first.
Yeah, it's still Ratchford at the end of the day, so
You're right.
You still got the right name. Ratchford picks off the pass, and I was wondering if he was going to take that one all the way. I was anticipating a big run back. I couldn't see any defenders in front of him. Obviously, our camera angle is only so wide, but I was waiting to see where that defender was, and it seemed like they finally caught up to him around that 40-yard line. A great run back after the interception.
And then this is going to be the long touchdown run as he takes it in, this time from 52 yards.
Yeah, and again, I told you I had to check earlier and make sure he's just listed as a quarterback because the way he runs and how fast he is, you might think he's a running back if you weren't watching this game from start to finish.
So Purcell would add one more touchdown or Sulphur would add another touchdown after that, and they would go on and win it tonight by a final score of 41-7 over the Purcell Dragons. Any other score wrap-ups as we get out of here for tonight?
Yes, Ardmore and Altus. That was one of the games that we had talked about. We wanted to know the score of. Ardmore 28, Altus 0, and that is the final score.
Wow. All right, so we've got Altus and Noble next week coming your way right here on YurView. For all my help here this evening, from my man Dylan Revere alongside Mark Jeffries, of course, running all the controls back behind us, Tanner Wade, Bradley Shelton, Riley Cowan. Thanks to everybody that makes it possible for us to bring you the Oklahoma Ford Dealers Game of the Week right here on YurView. I'm Steve Marshall. We'll see you next week, everybody. So long.